Welcome to 2026. This, as you know, is SpeakuP Monday, episode number 509. Now, as you will know, Bali Ocean Days is coming up. That's January 30, 31 at the Intercontinental Bali Conference and Showcase. Now, here's a QR code. So if you're interested to attend, and you will be, please use this QR code here. So while I introduce today's episode, and I'll introduce my guest, my sister, very soon. So let's get into it. Bali Ocean Days, and this is about sustainable tourism. From concern to system change. How real is it? So as we know, we're no longer talking about theories, but the consequences. So today's show is really dedicated towards that. Because as we know now, in Bali alone, we now generate more than 1.6 million tons of waste every year. A significant portion of it leaks into the rivers and into the ocean. A tourist in Bali uses on average 3 to 10 times more water per day than a local resident through hotels, swimming pools, laundry, golf courses and landscaping. So now with more than 50% of Bali's coral reefs are under threat from warming seas, pollution and coastal pressure. So now we can see that tourism today is both a blessing and also a risk. It contributes to a massive part of Bali's and Indonesia's economy, but it also puts enormous pressure on land, water, waste systems, culture, and communities. So as I said, this episode today, we sit down with the founder of Bali Ocean Days and the chair of the board of management of Sky Blue Sea Foundation, which powers Ocean Days, Bali Ocean Days, Yoke Darmawan, to dive deep into this topic in the context of the upcoming third Bali Ocean Days conference and showcase, which I've mentioned before, QR code right over here. Now, a little bit about Yoke. So she's recognized as a coach, strategic planner, and communicator on media relations, internal relations, government relations, and cultural relations. And she's also owner and founder of D&A Consultancy, focusing on PR, marketing, human resource development, corporate affairs director for Sababay Winery in Gianyar, Bali, and public affair consultant to the Bali International Hospital. So a few things we're going to focus on this episode, such as why tourism now sits at the center of environmental, economic, and social risk, what sustainable tourism really means beyond green labels and marketing, why the global shift is moving from sustainability to regenerative tourism, and why 2025-2026 represents a historic turning point for ocean and tourism economies. And lastly, what makes Bali Ocean Days a different platform built for solutions, partnerships, and implementation, not just ceremony. So please give ourselves a warm round of applause for our guest, Yoke Darmawan. Welcome to the show again, Yoke. I think your third time.
My third time, yes. So excited.
You know, one of the things which I love about you is that, just from your experience alone, you have a really good understanding of, three things: the government landscape, the private sector landscape, and how these two can come together and work together to create lasting impact, which is underpinned by Gotong Royong, this community coming together to help and support and to solve challenges from our communities. Now, Guzman, I'll just ask the team to switch down the music as well, just when you can. Forgot that time. So, a bit of background, because we know maybe we don't know about Bali Ocean Days. So if you could take a little bit of time to explain, what is Bali Ocean Days and Sky Blue Sea Foundation and why it's important now.
Let's get started. But before I started, I want to thank you for you being Robert. You being wonderful. You know almost everyone here in the island because you are involved and you participating in any movement that happening in the island. And I think this is a good example on how a guest that is calling Bali home and then now become your home. And being in the home of someone, you contribute and you give of what you're good at. And I think all of us should learn from you also. What in you that you can give to the community? What impact that you can create? Like no matter how small, but it's not about small or big, but consistency, discipline, and make it a real measurable impact. And I think that is so wonderful about you, my brother, and I really appreciate. Robert, you are part of Sky Blue Sea Foundation, and I'm proud to have you there too because Sky Blue Sea Foundation is actually initiated by Paul Tan. Paul Tan living in Jakarta and being years of ocean, a great diving experience, divers from all over part of Indonesia. So he knows, he mapping the potential of Indonesia and he see on how it changed from the ocean. So Sky Blue Sea started with a mission of global empowerment for the development of blue economy Indonesia through marine ecosystem and community, well-being of the communities, of the coastal communities. That is a big dream. But what is interesting about Sky Blue Sea, we have people with different background, different disciplinary, different network, and then we're not an expert. We can't call ourselves we are an expert on marine conservation, sustainable tourism. It's not. But in fact, we're mapping the talent of everybody. And I'm here. I have Pascal Maye, who is here, who has been the contact for all the speakers and exhibitors. I have Aisha, we have Oki, Subagyo, and I think with a good, who else that I have forgot to mention? I did mention you, but a combination of people that want to do something. So Bali Ocean Day is actually born with not from a big institution, not from government program, not from a branding conference, not another one, please. Government do a lot of conference related to ocean, related to water, and G2G putting big amount of budget to initiate conservation and sustainable for the audience. But do the audience take benefit out of those speakers? So I thought, this is how it started. So when we start Bali Ocean Days, it's really started because every time we got invited to government event, not to put down a government event, but I'm just saying that do we invite all the players, the community leaders, the academic, the people that actually there doing best practice related to their day-to-day changes, impact. So do they invite all NGOs, or they're too scared the NGOs gonna scream? Because setting up a conference that will be beneficial for audience are the key. So basically what we do, we invite all these worldwide speakers and exhibitors, startup, on the waste management, on preservation of coral, to actually giving added value to the audience. That's the reason why I think whatever business you are in, join us, not come to the conference, but really join the movement. Because we cannot do this alone. This is a subject that is too big to take care by one person or two person or one community. So that's why Bali Ocean Day is initiated to create a melting pot where all stakeholders from government, policymakers, academic, with their research, scientists, best practice in community leaders, business leader, corporate and funding institution to support each other. Going back to your word, gotong royong.
One of the things that 'cause this is number 3, and as people may know who have come, we're talking about over 500 people over two days in intercontinental Bali, and we're talking private stakeholders, public, and we're talking about how do we come together to create opportunities and policies which are actionable, real, and practical, right? So it's not just a talk fest. So this is very important. But one of the topics for tonight, is about why tourism is at the center of this story. So maybe the question then comes forward. When I ask you and say, well, Yoke, why is it for you that tourism is at the center of this story? What would you say?
I've been living here in Bali for 35 years. Come from Jakarta, being young and innocent at that time, not anymore, a little innocent right now, but but I love to use the excitement to know something new. 35 years, and I believe Sang Yang Widi been taking care of me, make my journey living here easier, meeting the great people like you all, with the same vision, the same dream, to live in the place that as beautiful as Bali. Bali been busy with the branding of the island of paradise, the last paradise, island of love, so many about it. But is it what Bali entitled? Do we just enjoying of what the branding promised you, that attract you to come in here, or you involved in participating? So I look at myself, maybe the talent I have, one and only, is really the bridge between communities, between government, national government and local government, bringing local wisdom as part of the big movement. And I really think an invitation to collaborate, creating a platform when people can collaborate is important. So why tourism? Tourism is a blessing and a risk, as you mentioned earlier. Economic risk, community, culture risk, you name it, even reputation risk. Do we think about this? Yeah. When Bali collapse, if we don't take care of this, we don't collapse slowly. We collapse suddenly. Boom, down, empty. We experience on how COVID impacting so many people. So I'm saying that let's contribute a little and upgrade our knowledge, bringing all this expertise to open your mind. Who do you want to collaborate? So the first Bali Ocean Days, we test the market, we test the community. Do stakeholders, different background, different disciplinary, different nationality, can meet together and learn together? And Bali Ocean Day, first one was fantastic celebration. Like, oh, I know you, I never meet the same people who take care coastal community. Oh, these people are taking care. Restoration of coral, they all meet. Bali Ocean Day 2, it's when they collaborate and pitching for funding. Now they have the funding, they have friends, they make a bigger impact in Indonesia, using expertise. Now the third one, I really want to focus on how fast. We are on urgent situation. Is it only me who think that we are on urgent situation? So I'm saying, the question is, how fast can we make some impact? How fast? And that's why tourism, as being the prima donna of Bali, they have to involve, they have to know. Whatever business you are, somehow it's related to tourism and also economic creative. Now, ocean cannot be efficient alone. It got to be supported on how the inland management supporting to stop all the plastic, all the rubbish going to the ocean. But then it start again the people culture, and then it start again the commitment of the people, educating them to do. I'm become so passionate. I don't want to be an activist that is so rah rah rah. I just want to be the bridge. If I can translate the great data of the scientists and academic study into a simple language that villagers can understand, I would do that. That is the part that I want to take.
Another one of those things which I think is very powerful here in Bali, we mentioned it before, so I won't mention it again, but each of us has a different set of skills, a different set of passions and drive and so on. And then this community, this particular movement we're talking about, as you mentioned, you know where you are, that bridge between government and private sector. I see Pascal, right, who, again, his genius is, how to connect the right speakers, how to connect, the right sponsors and so on, being the Secretary General. Now look at the other community, even here. I know Valerie, I know, over here, Tangelina, and another Val over here. So I think, one of the most important things for this is, if this is something that you're interested in, the environment, the planet, the ocean, where everything starts and everything finishes, there's a place for you. If you have a skill, if you have an ability, if you have a drive, then contact Bali Ocean Days. It doesn't mean you have to come. We'd love you to come. But at the same time, there's a WhatsApp group, there's social media channels that you can join to find out how is it that I can contribute to this patchwork, this jigsaw puzzle, and again, create practical solutions and be a part of that. But we've spoken a bit about tourism. So we've spoken about, obviously there's infrastructure challenges, there's landfills under pressure, there's rivers with plastic, there's groundwater levels dropping, there's coastal ecosystems which are shrinking. But now, sustainable tourism is a term that we've been perhaps using a lot of late. But the interesting part, which I'd love to ask you, is that when I ask you what is sustainable tourism, what does that mean to you?
Okay. For me, sustainable tourism is about the system that works. It's not a label, it's not a campaign, but an actual system that implemented from within, that we can use it to attract people with the same mindset. Do you know that if you claim yourself as a green hotel, for example, and you're not doing anything related to the green, it will downgrade your brand. But if you do showcase what you do right, system that proven under a KPI, it's bring people a different value. People love to spend in a place where they know we are taking care of the environment. People that come in here from all over the world to Bali, they don't want to see concrete. They don't want to see just minimalist. They want to know the culture. Is it changed? Yes, it's changed because people come in here. But once they see and get to know the culture, the sustainable movement, that things that they can contribute, they stay longer. For me, sustainable tourism always related to system that work, the system that can be proven as an added value, a commitment of the industry, commitment of the property, commitment of a business that at the end of the day attract people with the same mind. People change too. They travel for an experience, and the experience of being surrounded by little bugs that go straight to your nose.
Yeah, over here is that time of year and that time of night where those bugs come, and they know exactly where they're going, up your nose, in your eye, in your ear.
I know. I try to be calm, but it's just suddenly it's just gone.
We're under attack.
Under attack, but that is the beauty. I love sitting outside. We talk about this, and whatever weather in Bali, people still come. But if people keep on looking into over tourism, the rubbish everywhere, the traffic without proven action, do we call it sustainable tourism? Because we can't blame and ask the government to do some action. Just do a little part, and the little part from the community, from the neighborhood, influence Banjar, influence people around you to take part of a system that works. I think we make some changes.
You know, I mean, as we said before, real sustainable tourism, we're talking about waste systems that work, water systems that protect the future,
Yeah.
energy systems that reduce dependency, communities that benefit, not get pushed out,
Yes.
culture that stays alive, not turned into decoration. So probably one of the things that people kind of ask me, which I will in turn ask you, because it's an area where people don't necessarily understand. So in Bali or in Indonesia, there's three types of government, let's say. You have central government in Jakarta, then you have regional government, and then local government.
Yeah.
And so any policy that's passed needs to, in a way, be accepted in these three particular areas. And sometimes, you know, the Bali Tourism and Investment Chamber that's just being set up, they've been on the show before, is in a way trying to align and clarify that message for foreign investors to make it easier. But your work with government, the public sector, so how does it work? For most people here don't understand. So how does policy work? How is it that perhaps policy that is decided doesn't necessarily touch ground, and we still see some of these challenges I've just mentioned here? So what do you see, in your opinion, are some of the positives of involving government, and then what are some of the challenges which government face ensuring that these policies actually touch ground in Bali, for example?
Wow, big question, but very clear. National consider Indonesia with 17,000 islands as one big nation, yeah? When the policy from the minister out about OSS, about making the investment, foreign investment, PMR, able to make it easier to invest in Indonesia is a general policy that out from the government, right? But Bali is quite unique. Bali, every single part of land has a different soul because the ancestor lived there. They let go their land, their subak, they let go their little property. It's affecting on how they relate to the God. You know that the Trihitakarana on how closest the relation, heritage, ancestor of the Balinese way of life in Hinduism. So with national policy, we need association that can translate that policy, not to make it easier for investor to come, not only to make it easier, but to brief them the meaning of land that they are going to use, the business that they are going to develop, the purpose of that business, and does it create an impact? I mentioned earlier, or you mentioned earlier, to make use of community not as an accessories, don't push them away, but what can you do around it? Because let's take an example. Let's make it easy. A beautiful land in the middle of subak, in the middle of rice field. Who doesn't want to have a house in the middle of beautiful rice field? But it's subak, right? So the Association of Bali Tourism Investment Chamber supposed to give them the warning, and not to make it easy for them to get the land, but to give them an understanding. You took a land that is meaningful. Let's find another land. Let's protect this land and make it. If that is happening, I'll be very happy.
Yeah.
Because for me, the government has their own KPI, target numbers of investment for an island, right? Target. And they kind of ask the local government, how come there's nobody investing? And then the investor said, it's too complicated. But then if you have people with the language, the ability to be the bridge for the investors and the project and the impact, then we speak the same language. That's what I mean by contribute. What part that you're good at, like can you imagine how clear for the infant, because they don't know. They want to do a hospital in the middle of a residential area. Okay, okay. Where is the waste for medical? How would that impact the neighborhood? Where do you going to park? What happened to the, like all those questions will help them to think, investment. It's not about, you have to relate to sustainable tourism, the system that work, the community that involved and benefit out of that project, the water, the suddenly lost word, the waste, everything that related. Now association that related to that certain particular tourism related are the key. And now, when you talk about chamber, have you collaborate with Indonesia Chamber of Commerce, for example? They they got the mandate from the government because you guys need to talk, because they cannot speak your language. You guys can. So the foreign investment have the same kind of language. That's why the playing as the bridge become very important. Yeah, because Indonesian, I'm not saying in generalizing, but if you raise your voice, then I shut down. But if you don't give me chance to speak, I represent myself, sorry. But no, the debate is not the culture.
Yeah.
Debate is not the culture. The French, oh my God, they listen to the debate all the time. I live with one and I know,
He's
like
French. They live together. They're husband and wife. Good luck.
Oh la 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 la.
Ooh la la.
You know the debate culture, creating, informing. This is the data. This is the information. This is the local culture. This is the community. What can we do? And they debate until they come out with what is best in making decision. The leaders got all the ingredients to make decision. Now this is what missing. So my contribution is we just talking about the national policies. Yeah. How about the local government?
Yeah.
The local government surrounded by their advisor. Do the advisor have the big global vision or global knowledge or information, or they just being there because they are representing a party? That's another story.
Yeah.
Because so decision would probably not representing what is the real movement is all about. Maybe decision is too impromptu. Decision, now this is the moment when we can translate the language into government language. Not many people can do it. They call it lobbyists. I don't care if they call it lobbyists. I don't mind, like lobbyist, because it has a bad connotation. But to my language, it means translating what it's supposed to be. Like in the language that your audience understand. And then that is up to the local government, provinces. And then now the kabupaten, the regencies. The regency, the king on their own regencies. I have my income. I have my project. I want to build a 60 market. So now, local market, I want to turn it into mall, or they want to do it super mall. Then people cannot. So there are language or communication or strategic that need to be translated, and we all playing an important role. We're just talking about the investment, one part, but can you imagine about coral conservation? You imagine about overfishing. You imagine about protecting mangrove. Layers. That's why Bali Ocean Day choose 6 crucial session that actually talking and give them an example. I'm sorry, once I talk, I just comma.
No, but here's the thing though, it's very relevant.
Yes.
And I'm sure that most people sitting here, or those who are tuning in, haven't really understood to that extent the difference between central, regional, and local, and why it can be in any country, but why it can be so challenging for one policy that's made in central to find its way down to the local level, 17,000 plus islands, plus all these different regencies, plus all these different advisors with the knowledge and capabilities that they have and the worldview that they have, the political party they belong to. So all of these different aspects here can make things quite challenging, which is which is what we've been speaking about over the years quite a lot, is, okay, so there's challenges everywhere. That's the world we live in, wherever we are. So what can we do as a community at the grassroots level which are not encumbered with the same challenges that government have coming down? Let's go grassroots up.
Yep.
So then Bali Ocean Days and initiatives like it, communities like it, can then say, right, well, let's get the stakeholders in any particular industry, we're talking about the oceans now, private sector, let's bring them together, and let's create things that we can do today, which are practical things which can help our environment. And then as we go forward, we engage government as best we can. We have someone like you who's able to translate the message from here to there and from there to here, and then together we can actually make change. But the change has to come here first, right?
Yes.
So you need to get up off your seat,
yes,
and get into action.
Absolutely.
First. Create something as small as it may be.
Absolutely.
And then where you can, as opposed to duplicate, collaborate.
Yes. Right? Navigating solutions for regenerative ocean future. That is the theme that we're going to do for Bali Ocean Day, the third one. I mentioned that communication, bridging messages require people in the same mindset. And then Bali Ocean Day, during the conference, you are on the safe zone because people sitting next to you have the similar interests. Maybe you can talk the same language. But imagine you are in the middle of the government, national, local, then you have to translate and using your energy to actually bring the subject that is interest them. Yeah. Another thing what is important, just imagine a scientist been doing a lot of research about coral. They have all the data. They know that coral takes 100 years to grow and to make it rich and healthy. And then suddenly in the tourism, a group of certain nationality just jump in because you can actually stand. They stand and they call their friend and take selfie. So what language do we need to explain to them? Scientist language that confuse them, or the language that local understand? I would prefer a solution basis. Educate the coastal community to say, everyone that bring your guests to the sea, make sure they don't stand on the coral because the coral need years to regenerate. And then don't play with the fish, don't go fishing, don't even catch, don't disturb. Who can speak that language? The coastal community. Now, how do we get the message that is so up high and wonderful into the players on the ground? Is by using layers, network, people that can go stronger and stronger in that message. So I think navigating the solutions, it's not the big high up in the sky, but actually playing with the grassroots. Find your network, find your same mind people. Together we're stronger, basically.
Just a quick little message now. So in about 10 minutes or so, 5-10 minutes, we're going to have questions. So if you have any questions, maybe start to formulate what they are. Maybe you have it already. Canggu moment going by. And once we get to that, just raise your hand, and we have another microphone here. And remember, one question already. So when you get the microphone, just a little bit of, protocol. by all means, plug what you're doing. Hi, my name's Rob. I have a company called X. We're doing X, Y, and Z in the ocean right now. My question is bang, 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 bang. All right? And that way we can create more value, can we have more questions, and we can be very, very direct. So just give us about 4 or 5 minutes, actually. I think we'll be ready because we have 2 already. But just want to spend a little bit of time, on why 2025, 2026 represents an historic shift. And we're talking about the world has crossed from awareness to consequence. Climate events are now disrupting flights, disrupting insurance, food supply, coastal economies. And again, the ocean economy, fisheries, shipping, tourism, coastal cities is no longer optional to protect. It's core to national resilience. So the final part about sustainability is moving from CSR to branding to strategy. So if companies don't adapt, they lose customers, licenses, social acceptance, and so on. But when I speak again about this historic shift, 2025, 2026, I guess my question to you would be, and we've spoken around it, but maybe not at it, someone listening in now saying, okay, I agree with what you've said, right? I agree that, the going through government can be quite convoluted for many different reasons, wherever you are, but here as well. I understand that grassroots is the way to go because we can propagate and we can start this movement, right? We can create the seed that grows into a tree. But what would you say, maybe a few examples of meeting people where they are? What would you say to those who are perhaps watching now saying, well, I'm interested, but where do I start? Is there a process for me to go through to have impact? And if so, what would that be?
All right. Yesterday I have a little gathering. It says, if you want to move alone, you can be fast, you just go to Ahmed and tell people, whoa, you don't walk on the coral, you go to Menjangan Island, you can actually fast. Maybe somebody hear you and repeat of what you said that fast. But if you want to create an impact, for God's sake, just find people with the same mindset. I already have an NGO on women coastal that create a movement. Oh, okay, you participate and mapping what do they actually need. So during Bali Ocean Days, people actually talk, like finding right and left, and become very interesting. Because at Bali Ocean Day, the 3rd edition, we have 6 sessions. I did mention that. So we have 24 speakers. I'm sure Pascal has talked about who are the speakers, but I don't want to repeat it. But there is a lot of learning. If you don't move now, then we're gonna have that collapse suddenly. You just make your little contribution. At least you have tried. That's number one. 24 speakers, different nationality, different background and understanding. But what is interesting is the 12 eco startup showcase exhibitor, and that one is interesting because take an example of Blueprint Tech, another French.
They go well though. They do well. The French do well here.
But that showcase on what can they do, what they have done and what profit out of what they move in is. It's a big learning. I'm interested. I'm a diverse. I'm a PAD license. I'm interested. Or there is a side event called CMAP. CMAP is also a World Bank association that on during the event it's interesting to learn more. I have initiative, I have my community, I have my NGOs. Let's pitch for a bigger funding. Who I can get connected globally. Okay, we find people. And then another one. And I really think the more active you during Bali Ocean Days, the more you can create impact. Because I'm there not to feed, but taken an opportunity as a platform to learn, to study, to get to know more, and then bring back a knowledge that contact and continue. I'm sure it's beneficial for the business, whatever business. I really believe in it.
Thank you very much indeed. So now we had some questions. So Guzman, we have that third mic. So we have one here which is nearest, and we have one or two over here. That's good. And three. You should have put your hand up before. You could have gone before Carsten, but that's okay. We will come back to you, right?
Sorry, you want to?
Okay, Carsten, you're on.
All right. So as you said, I try to keep it short. So I've been working with Harvey Fleming from Aquatica Submarines in Vancouver that did the Belize Blue Hole exploration with the National Geographic on a regular basis, actually, with what's his name? The Virgin Atlantic owner.
Richard?
Yeah, with Richard. So they know each other and they paid for it. And Paul Bunce from Submarine Safaris in the Canaries.
Okay.
So it would be a nice networking connection to help to implement some things or share resources. I personally am a tourism investor that wants to create sustainable tourism in the water business here in Bali. So I'd be very, very happy if we could have a talk some of these days and make an appointment, because I already talked to your husband in 2024 about that.
Yes.
And then we were all so busy and we just didn't continue about that, and I just take the opportunity and I'm very happy to see you here.
Oh,
and it's
wonderful.
great what you do.
Oh, thank you so much. Hold his hand, he's not gonna go anywhere. But I really think it's nice to be able to just put on the table what you are working on and then what is available. That's number one. And number two, is there anything instant? No. But we are working on something. That is what I believe. Let's just put it this way. You mentioned about the tourism. The Ministry of Tourism have 3 flagship now. Marine tourism, wow. Sustainable and quality tourism, and gastronomy. For me, marine tourism, yeah. Working alone, yes, fast. We promote destination. There is 300 diving spot in Indonesia. Yes, but who taking care the preservation? What do they do that make the difference? And then of course the community, the stakeholders within that area was saying, me. Let's recognize them. Let's recognize their contribution that make that decision and that make that destination worth to be promoted. And I think this kind of talk become very interesting, because as a tourism, my job to promote and bring as many tourism, but as a stakeholders, we make sure the quality tourism that appreciate my land, appreciate my ocean, and involve with me to preserve it, because I want my next generation enjoying the same land, the same sea, the same. Yes, even better.
Even better.
Yes.
So if it's
even better. Yes, regenerative tourism is about make it even better. You know, like restore it, rebuild it, and make it even better, strengthening what asset already available here in the island. It will be so sad if we are moved from one diving destination to another just because, it's bleaching. Now it's no longer available. Sorry. Next again, and so and so.
So if you're just tuning in now, you're watching Speak Up Monday, episode 509. And we're talking about, a lot of episodes. So Bali Ocean Days and sustainable tourism, from concern to system change. You know, how real is it? And we're talking tonight to Yoke Darmawan, who is the founder of Bali Ocean Days and the chair of the board of management for Sky Blue Sea Foundation, which is doing incredible work when it comes to the ocean's conservation and use, and is powering this Bali Ocean Days event. The third installment is January 30 and 31 of January. QR code is right over here at the Intercontinental Bali Resort in Jimbaran. We're on questions right now. So our next, but just before we go to this question, one thing which I just want to add to everything that's going on. So as a person who will be there on the day with one of these in my hand, part of what I love doing is bringing people together. So the people that come, it is not an event where you come by yourself and leave by yourself. It doesn't work like that. you will come and you will be in an environment where you feel warm and comfortable to speak to people that you don't know. And again, I came recently from moderating at the largest conservation event in the world called IUCN. It was in Abu Dhabi, and Mina from IUCN was a lady, Mina Epps, who's head of the ocean policy. Now, I met Mina when I was emceeing, moderating at Bali Ocean Days last year, and then she invited me to basically moderate there in Abu Dhabi. Now, again, on a global level, certain things remain the same. And what I did there is what I have always done, is you find ways to blend the audience. You find ways for people to find each other. Because just like tonight, we didn't get a chance to do it before because I was a bit too late. So were you. Is you give people an opportunity to speak into what lights them up, what they're passionate about, and where they stand out, what their skills are, unique ones. Because by doing that, then we're able to connect the right dots together. So Bali Ocean Days also is about connecting the dots between those people who come to ensure they get major value and find their partners, find their ecosystem partners, find their community members. As Yoke just said, part of this, of the grassroots, is find other people which are passionate about what it is you are too. Don't act alone. You don't need to duplicate when you can collaborate. Over to you for your question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So, are you listening to me? Yeah. So, my name is Sana. Thank you so much for this event. I come from a country that's very far from here, that is Colombia, actually. Very far.
Welcome.
And yes, I came to study actually sustainable tourism in a college right here. And well, it has been amazing being here in Bali, not only for the experience. I worked back in Colombia, and actually I'm still running a company of nature tourism and outdoor education. It's like experiential education, but based in nature tourism, adventure tourism in general. So for me, being in Bali has been amazing, not only about the experience and the culture and everything, but also because it's like I'm seeing the future of Colombia, like a little bit in here. Obviously, Colombia is not so massive like in here, so it's like an advantage that I see, and to understanding like, hey, what can I learn from Bali just to protect Colombia? To protect Colombia's ecosystem, Colombian oceans, Pacific and, well, the Caribbean that we have both. So my question would be like, what should we prioritize? You know, what should be the priority of political, of policies in general, of the actions to protect our ecosystems and prevent and not having like that bad part of Bali?
All right. I would I would prefer
Canggu moment.
when you open. How long you been in Bali?
Well, 3 months.
3
only.
months, okay. I would suggest for you to actually explore the whole island, because every regency has its own identity and an own way on translating the meaning of tourism, the business, the lifestyle, the culture, the people. You know, every regency almost have its own way in bringing a unique experience to the audience. People that look into certain lifestyle, oh, you best going to Ubud, or looking for the serene, authentic, untouched, okay, go to, you know, there is still are places that is so unique. So it's very difficult to compare Bali as an island of a destination, the hub for all tourism, into one singular destination. That's number one for me. The uniqueness intact, because they have one certain belief, which is the principle of their religion. The religion that keep them tied in speaking one language based on the Hinduism ceremonial and understanding. So they hang on to this, and that what make Bali unique too. The island that famous with 1,000 island and still working and still devoted to their island. Some changes, some fading, yes, individual, but as the whole island, there is one thing that keep them uniform or unified. Unified, yeah. So find what is unified in Colombia. That's number one. And I got attacked now by the unified Laron.
They're unified.
So
Number one. They're unified. It's a great word. They
But
were
I
listening
really
too.
think if you think about what is the priority, mapping what is unified everyone to commit on one single message. Here in Bali, regardless what changes, you have a unified belief, a religion, a ceremony, and a temple ceremonies that is so intact to from they give birth to their died. Yeah, so that is one. And second, each area certainly have its own uniqueness. If Badung is dedicated for lifestyle with all the new wave and new happenings, try to see where we just got back from the north, and suddenly it's a different world. Raining flat here. I got sunburn. I got crazy, beautiful, and on the north. So, really, my message is find mapping what is unified everyone, and second, how do the uniqueness of every part being the strength of remain that place. And the third one is the local wisdom. What local wisdom can you map, can you find? Because once you can preserve the local wisdom, then you are talking about sustainable tourism. Because they are something that you want to be sustained, getting better, and able to be transferred to the next generation. Keep it that way.
Thank you so much. Actually, I've been diving in West Bali, and Nomad East Bali it's totally different. Thank you
Wonderful.
so much.
Thank you.
So I think you had a question over here. Yeah.
Yes.
So Tangerine, just take the microphone, Tangerine. She's offering it to you. Yeah.
I didn't realize I was next. Hi, I'm Tangelina. I'm a founder of a company called Darmawan Imports, and we really focus on connecting buyers with the original artists and mostly Balinese traditional artists. And we're also very much so involved in building a greater ecosystem that is concerned with giving back to the community and keeping Balinese culture and heritage alive through its artisans. And I the first question I wrote down, actually, Robert asked. And then I had a follow-up question, but I think I need to talk to you privately. But the thing that really came up was coral regeneration there's been a lot of really cool scientific development in coral regeneration, and I wonder if you have come across biogeometry as an option or have researched it. It does a really good job of accelerating coral regeneration. So do you know biogeometry?
Pascal, did we have biogeometry?
Is it related to bio-rock systems where you use low voltage electricity?
Do you have another mic, Guz?
Mm-mm.
Like that? Because this is what we know.
I'm not familiar with bio-rock.
Bio-rock systems that are already implemented around the island.
Okay, so biogeometry. Yeah, I'll explain. Biogeometry is essentially it takes there's ancient Egyptian symbols that they found that have a very specific geometry to them, and they have these different properties of healing and coherence.
Right.
And there's a woman we worked with. I worked in Kauai with a marine biologist for a while, and we were observing the effects of microwaves on the coral, and it was actually damaging the coral like a bomb had gone off. Like, this is how impactful the microwaves were. And there was some illegal microwave use on the north shore of Kauai. And so at that time we were doing a lot of reporting, and we ended up coming across a woman named Kerrigan who did extensive research about how biogeometry can be implemented on coral growth and restoration. And so we worked with her and we set up experimental spots, and we saw like it's like a 5 to 10 times accelerated growth on the corals.
Oh, wonderful. I love to hear this. Can you imagine? You come to the conference, you meet really from the coral triangles, and then you talk about what can be done. You know, this is what is the conference is all about, because your knowledge might be useful for creating regenerative and make it faster. And then I think that is the key. Collaboration is bringing your own knowledge into something that already exists and to make it bigger. You want to add something, Pascal?
I invite you to join us and possibly to relate with Daniel Griffin, who's flying from LA. He's been working in Hawaii too. Is representing what we call the Steve Pallenby regenerative method. So it's pretty technical, and Daniel Griffin would be a fantastic stakeholder for you to share. He's going to be in the car restoration session. So yeah, in addition to really,
yes,
you're gonna have people that coming from all over the world. There is another gentleman from Philippines representing the Reef World Foundation, and don't forget the declaration that we're gonna the coral declaration that we're gonna propose on stage
on day one
at the closing of day one to try to become a pressure group to the Ministry of Transportation, the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Fisheries, Ministry of Tourism. Robert, what we're going to do is we're going to create a confederation of associations that relate to coral restoration to propose actual guidelines and basic actions. And then after we can get enough co-signatories to really to try to get 2026 from pledges to concrete actions. Yeah.
I think that is an important message, because when we talk about solution, it's not a single act. So there is a declaration. It's part of our end of day one, which I really think become a very important momentum, that participating, exchange knowledge, and a commitment. It's a pressure that can be measured. And then if government did not do a policies that supporting that, there is a measurement that through community that can be how do I get aware of.
You know, one thing, I know you have probably a follow-up question for that one, but just before we get there, so this IUCN conference, as I mentioned, this big nature conference, the ocean section, some of the things which I can see is, you know, for example, there, it was all about deep sea mining. That was one of the biggest challenges facing the world. Here, we're looking at protection of coral with the Coral Reef Declaration. But the other thing which I find in common is that, and we said this before, you know, last year I remember saying that we are family, right? So what I've noticed is that the world, outside of COB and everything else, but on a local level is really coming together. So you have groups, you have associations, you have people from around the world, right? Colombia, Hawaii, and so on. Like I think 80 countries or something, or plus, because you know the ocean is for all of us.
Yep.
And the impact is felt by all of us. If the ocean rises 1 meter, it's going to be devastating for many places in the world. So what's happening, what I found at that particular conference as well, is that there's a much greater desire for people to come together and to share knowledge. So this is what we did here that really helped our situation, that I think if you did it here in Bali would be really valuable and impactful, for example. So this sharing of knowledge is really powerful. I think you had a follow-up.
Yeah, so we, at that time when I was living in Kauai, this would have been 2013, 2014, there was a organization established called the Reef Guardians.
Reef Guardians.
Yeah, and so I'm not sure if they're part of this conference. I haven't been leaning into it. I've had other things, but I'd like to see how they can get involved, and it sounds like the Confederation would be the perfect fit. And something else that I do with another friend of mine is we create ecosystems that are able to easily share not just resources but intellectual properties and networks, and being able to like assist people in, like, say they want to come in as a contributor or a funder or a concerned citizen who wants to volunteer, and they want to find places to plug in, so we can talk about that.
Bring that offline. Thank you so much, Tangerina. And we've got a question here, so Valerie, you're next. Just pass the mic across. Yeah. Now, just to get an idea, how many more questions do we have? Just raise your hands. Do I just see one over here? Any more so far? Okay, Val.
Hi, I used to work with Potato Head and Ibuku Studios. I'm an avid snorkeler, surfer, and diver. So my question, thank you for bringing Yoke for bringing up restoration issues and protection. And why I say this is, I guess, having been an Indonesian on and off for 10, 15 years, my concern is more the penalties, right? That I haven't seen in place as a tourist or resident. So, for example, you mentioned a lot of people stepping on coral when snorkeling or even diving. I remember as a kid, Gili Trawangan was full of dynamite fishing at the time. The whole Gili T was dead. I remember it was spooky, it was cold because the coral was dead, and I never came back for 10 years as a result of that as a kid. And yes, we have Raja Ampat, which is kind of our flagship global, untouched microsystems in marine life. And at the time, they were still discovering new places in Raja Ampat, and I don't know 10 years what it's like now. Komodo has evolved too quickly, in terms of diving and tourism in Labuan Bajo. And so my concern is, where is the government in terms of penalties? Yes, education is important, but with no penalties, there's no consequences, right? Jadi, what I mean to say is, for example, as a global tourist, in Thailand, I think there was some footage last year where there was marine police, because I know they're not the National Guard, right? Where they were literally going in the water and I think someone was trying to take sand or on a specific beach, I forgot which island it was, and there was clear, regulations that you cannot take any like living items from the beach, and they were taking things and they literally like pulled them out of the water, right, and put them on the boat and took them out, right? And they were policing and patrolling. And also, when you're snorkeling and swimming with whale sharks in Philippines, there's very tight regulations for you to even enter the water, and everyone has to follow the rules. And if not, there's a lot of people safeguarding and controlling the environment in the area. So I guess this is my concern for Indonesia, is where are the consequences for those who don't listen?
Got it. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is the moment to put pressure on the penalty, because there are a basic regulation. You cannot take coral and sand at Labuan Bajo. You see the airport? There's coral, like they actually stop people to bring back home. But the coral and the sand is actually there, like the whole jar, the whole. So, because the implementation of this basic regulation is not communicated or socializing with the players yet. But now, if the Ministry of Tourism declare marine tourism, we better push what is next step. the reward and penalty, number one. Understanding who are the actual people who've been there to support them. And number three, on how we actually regenerate and bringing people who actually have knowledge and understanding to be part of it. I think we are like, how do I say, the mentality like rich people, 17,000 island with beautiful 300, 400 more destination for diving and a beautiful island beach and so and so. Like as if we sleep when let it be our asset is the attraction for the world. Not anymore. That's why I said the Bali Ocean Day, I really want to change it into the urgency. How fast can we put policy in place and then learning experience? I guess I switch a little bit about the session one on archipelagic and island state on the front line of the climate change, because those islands give an example. If we don't do anything, we're gonna be gone. You know, like there's a lot of learning example that we want to put on the table so that people see the consequences, and then the declaration, and then the actual point by point reward and penalty has to be lobbied to the government level. And our way, we are still long journey, but with your help, with everybody's help, I think we want it as fast as possible. Help, you know, like let's do it, you know.
Yeah, you know, and I mean,
Thank you,
Val. So I think there's a question just behind you here. You know, I mean, part of this again, you know, people probably wonder. So, is Bali Ocean Days for me, right? Who's going? So I'm going to read this verbatim, that way I don't forget. Tourism operators, investors, brands, NGOs, policymakers, community leaders, young professionals. So this is about, you know, seeing working solutions, meeting implementers, joining collaborators, you know. So at the end of the day, you know, Bali Ocean Days for many of us here, as Yoke has kind of said on several occasions, you know, it's a crossroads moment, a place where future models are being shaped, a room where decisions and partnerships start. So it's about action. She mentioned before about number one, hello everybody. Number two, we've raised the capital. Number three, let's do something about it. And I remember when Pascal and Aisha were on some weeks ago, you know, it was the army. You know, that was number two for me. You know, the army creating this pontoon that cleans the rivers. You know, it's a practical step forward to actually have action, not just about talking. So I think, again, you know, how quickly can action be done? How quickly can we move? And as you mentioned, Val, about, well, okay, so now you have, you know, the carrot and the stick, right? So sometimes the carrot, but the stick, you need regulations to be enforced. So how quickly can these regulations be enforced? And again, it kind of goes back to you, meaning all of us. So there are people watching. I mean, we had Carsten tonight, right, who is a tourism operator ready to invest, right? Done. There's probably one of you here or one of you watching right now that is in the position to do something about this. You have a skill, you have a gift, you have resources in place. It starts with you. It starts, as you mentioned before, Bali Tourism and Investment Chamber. Sustainability of Bali is a big topic. So what is the chamber doing in those corridors of power in order to create these outcomes, in order to create practical solutions which are enforced? So again, you know, it kind of goes back down to Gotong Royong, right? It goes down to the community coming together to solve a challenge being faced by the community. Now over to your question. Yeah.
Sorry, my dear. Before that questions, I like to add on, Robert. I'm saying like this, Robert. I like to create a safe platform for everyone to speak and tap people's shoulder elegantly. You know, like I know better than you. You know, I don't feel that way. You know, like what do you need? You know, like the gentle gesture of If the government doesn't have enough knowledge of people need an expert, translate it into a policy with a complete penalty and reward and step phases to be socialized to the local players. Like I like it to be a nice conference when people learn instead of pushing your concept and thinking. Because if you have initiative, you do your pitching. If you're good in your pitching, you're not good in your pitching, find someone, then you collaborate. Funding institution will look at this maybe as their CSR or their strategy for their industry.
Yeah.
So I like to be surrounded by people who like to drink wine. I'm sorry, different session. I do my. If you want to find me,
we're talking
I'm at
about Sababe Winery.
If you want to
Snuck
find
in
me,
there.
I'm at Sababe Winery. We talk about good things with wine, like with the good food, but we're still talking about sustainable, we're still talking about movement, but I like it to be, what can we do together, like women movement, okay, old women. You were saying like, I like artisan, yes, Sababe Winery is an artisan, like what can we do, the art about ocean, the art about mission, but in a womanly manner. Sorry, I'm into a little bit distracted, but basically what I'm saying, yes, whatever you want to do, find that elegant and sophistication so your message come across. If you have to choose putting a flag and rah on the street, or you want to go, let's have wine together, let's talk about this, a coffee in this case, it doesn't matter. Whatever way, the how is very important. We talk about the what, but the how is important. The how is how you communicate, how you do the tabbing and get your message across. Okay, sorry, my dear.
Yeah. Over to your question, but it was a beautiful interlude.
Sorry, I'm being too myself.
No, but it's funny because funny irony in a way, because certain times people ask, like, what's the point of Speak Up Monday?
Yeah.
And obviously there's a whole history behind, which I'll go into another time. But the real point is, whoever's sitting to my left as I sit, if it's one or two or three or more people, my role is really to create an environment where they can be themselves.
Absolutely.
That's actually it. Because if I'm able to do that, which I am, if I'm able to do that, then the right message will come through.
True.
That's it. So when you say, I'm sorry, there's no reason. I'm there just smiling, saying this is fantastic.
And she is
Where's the
really being
wine?
herself.
Yeah, we are missing the wine. FB Sababe, let's go.
I know, different episode.
It's a different episode. So, your question.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Intan. I'm actually nobody in this ocean, securing our ocean or whatsoever, but it's my personal interest since I was a kid that to prevent the environment to be destructed, because who is the destructor? It is actually we are ourselves, right? So I noticed that, because this same as Valerie, I think I am also have been here and there between Indonesia and France, and by having a French husband, I am also coming from insurance, actually the business partner from Allianz, and also from the property business that I have my own developer, and I'm also an Asian, and so in daily basis I'm also making interaction with peoples, different peoples, that occasion. And even if I ask Bali, but staycation. And even if I ask Bali, but still Indonesian is the most habitant in Indonesia. So the education of the concerning about about the environment must be started really from our public schools. Because if I see that my kids are in a French school in Bali, they've been speaking with me like adult that is concerning about this already, that I can compare with the kids in my big family that they are educated in Indonesian education school, public school, that my kids can say that, Mom, stop putting on the light when you don't need it, because we are already using the energy for your after generations. Wow. Indonesian kids doesn't think like that. And Indonesian people I see on the boat, I see in the buses, I see everywhere, they tend to just throwing off their garbage without thinking what is the impact of it, because their action, the garbage can goes after it's being washed by the rain, finally it goes to the ocean, and the ocean, it will be all dumped there, full with thrashes.
You know, Intan,
Yes.
just going to quickly get there, because I think I know where you're going, but I want to bring Pascal into this with your microphone, my brother, just to make sure it's on. Can you share with Intan about the school? The blue school, because this is important for what you're saying, which is essentially, you know, how do we get to the grassroots, because that's where the change is, right? So if you just quickly, I'm going to cut straight to Pascal. All right?
Sure.
Yeah, just to let you know that, yeah, probably you heard about the Green School, of course.
Yeah.
Very established here in Bali, and there is
Yes.
a new American school that's going to open in Uluwatu. This Uluwatu school is probably the very first primary school on this island to include marine environment and ocean protection in the curriculum of primary students. So things are changing. And as per Green School, Uluwatu School is developing cooperation programs with public Indonesian schools, especially SD classes. So I think we are on a good trend. Yes, we still there is far way to go, but we are in the right direction. You know, in Europe, you talk about France. 20 years ago, people were throwing down their trashes through the window too.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that far away in time, all right?
Yeah.
And today, it's absolutely not. Could not be seen in many ways. So we are in the right. I think we can be in the right direction.
So
It's actually identifying those who already contributing and putting best practice in a day-to-day implementation. And what you can do, if that is something that you understand, then create a bigger impact of the learning. That's number one for me. And number two, I have a mini window of opportunity in Bali that I haven't worked on it, but I've been thinking about this. Sorry, I cut because this is, I'm getting older, so once it's crossed my head, I better say it. You know, like in Bali, we believe in Trihita Karana, the harmony of human to human, relationship, harmony, human to human, human to God, and human to environment. And then I go like, hello, hi, do we actually do something about it? Or it's become a slogan that become a principle of our belief that is making branding positioning attractive. So that is always my question. But if we look into Japan, they tied in cleanliness, tidiness within their religion belief. If you're not tidy, if you don't put things in the place, if you don't manage your ways, you against your own belief. That's kind of like cool. This is my. So maybe I should think about how do I translate this Trihita Karana into some kind of a practical, actionable. Because if you go again, is it the penalty? What people are afraid of? Dealing with their God. You know, like something that I want to work. If any audience in the same mindset with me, come with me and let's enjoy a glass of wine and talk about it. Because I'm serious about this. What is a gate that we can translate this beautiful principle into practical action plan, which is, if you throw your rubbish, if you still use plastic in Kintamani or in the big temple, are you really applying Trihita Karana with respect, with heart? I would love, because I start to hear the intellectual Balinese influencers in a big from Lontar, like Sugilanus, and very deep on going back to Lontar. Popodanas as the architect, all names. They were saying like Marlo Bandam, for example. They were always saying like, how do we, this is our challenge, we as Balinese, not talking about Indonesian as the big Indonesia, Bali as in the island of Bali, what can we do? What gate can we use to actually translate this urgency into best practice? That's something I would love to hear more from people who has some ideas. Seriously, have wine, let's talk.
So
Yes.
what I can see, so we're going to begin to wrap up now.
Yes, yes.
So pass it over there. So there's different. You've got time. Don't worry.
Oh.
So basically, look, what I'm going to do, or what we're going to do, is that I'm going to hand it over in about 2 minutes to my sister, Yoke Darmawan. Now, one thing which I'd like you to do though is also to maybe tease out for those who don't know just a little bit about what people are going to experience. You mentioned about the 6 sessions that we have, right? So I give you time and space to do that. Also, any closing remarks that you feel like making in about 2 minutes time. Now, while she's preparing that, I just want to pass on a few things. So we'll quickly talk about next week is a guy called Will Travis, who you may or may not know from Elevation Barn. Will, for around 5 to 10 years, was I think was voted the #1 branding marketing agency in the world. He lives in Bali, and he's going to be on the show next week. Elevation Barn is doing some incredible work and also part of this ecosystem. So if it interests you about hearing that, and again, he has a dramatic story about what happened and why he decided to get out or pull away from that, but how to harness the skills about what he learnt to empower humans to be better humans, to make better decisions, and to be more collaborative, and kind of how can we impact the world to a powerful positive, right? So that will be next week. Now, going back to this week, as we've almost time for closing remarks. So tonight has been about Bali Ocean Days, but it's been about something greater than that. It's been about how can we find ways to collaborate, come together, in the view of something that's very powerful and important to the world, which is the oceans. Life begins and life ends in the ocean. The health of our oceans determine our life, the quality of our life. So one of the probably most important things that I've garnered from tonight, and Yoke will talk you through some others, is that we all have different skills, different abilities, different traits, and whether we believe that we're involved in the ocean or not is a misnomer. What you said before, my dear Intan, was beautiful, because you mentioned about, I'm not part of this ocean gang. That's what you were saying. And I love that, because the real change is made in areas which are like you, right? Because it's an echo chamber when the same people talk about the same things together. We're all on board, no problem. But the real change is made from attracting those people which are not in the ocean movement, let's say, but are concerned about the environment. Notice things that you've done from being a little kid like Val, a little kid from here to there, and seen the change and are interested in making a difference. So if you are that, whether you're watching online, whether you're here, you're the ones which are needed, right? Really needed, because that's where the change is really brought into the reality for human beings. So without further ado, I just want to thank Guzman, Tropical Tropical Nomad again. Round of applause, please, for Guzman. Done it all, Tropical Nomad. Thank you so much. Bali Ocean Days. I'll let Yoke finish up, and thank you so much, Sister Yoke, for being here tonight. Really enjoyed you, as you always great to see you. And the stage is yours.
Such a pleasure, Robert. This is wonderful, an opportunity for us to get together, and I think it is important. So I will start with our opening remark. I'm going to have Minister of Marine Affairs and Fishery, Republic Indonesia, Ministry of Environment, Head of Environment Protection Agency, and Ministry of Tourism. Why we bring this ministry? Because again, we come back on the policies and how and what where they up to and how do we support from that end. The 6 sessions start with session 1, archipelagic island states on the front line of climate change, and this has become very important because we are welcoming Hon Alitia Bainivalu, Minister of Fishery and Forestry, Republic of Fiji. How do we learn what policy that they use? How do they protect their island? And I think this is again a great learning. Hon Jelta Wong, Ministry of Fishery and Marine Resources, Papua New Guinea. Another resources, and Nico Barito from Envoy of Asian Seychelles. Seychelles. So it's a small country south, and they're gonna open up. So I think the moderator, we have Mary to leading, yeah. And then we're gonna have ecotourism and preservation of coral reef and marine biodiversity. Again, this session 2 is led by Dr. Frank Griffin. This is the gentleman that Pascal mentioned, Executive Director, Coral Triangle Initiative on Coral Reef, Fishery, and Food Security. We can learn a lot from the data that he's gonna present it. Miss Rachel James is from Coral Reef Resource Rescue Initiative, and then from BRIN, Dr. Firni Budi, and then Ocean Gardener, the Fang Song Salias. I think you met him before, right? Last year. And that session 3, I'm going to speak a bit faster because I think you can find all the information when you log in on here, but I'm going to run through who are the speakers. Coastal Community Empowerment and Education for Marine Conservation. Again, we're talking about education, the importance of education. Miss Riley Johani, Coral Triangle Center, another person that been very devoted on the coral reef world by Dave Albo, and then the Sea People, Arnaud Brivant, and then Dr. Pia Harkness from the Great Barrier Reef Foundation. So again, very qualified speakers for qualified audience, basically. What kind of learning do we get? Then we stop session 3 with a declaration of coral, and this is something that you're going to lead, a very important movement. And then day 2, we're going to start with trend in ocean science and marine technology. I think we need to learn and where we up to from the scientists from the university. Institute Pertanian Bogor will talk about the Professor Marine Science and Technology of IPB University will describe that, and we have Mero Foundation Indonesia Marine Education and Research, and Dr. Rahmadi Prasetyo, and then we have the co-founder of Coral Champion from Daniel Griffin, and Dr. Gonzalo Perez Rosales from the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. Yeah.
Yes.
Bagus, yeah. Sustainable fishing and protection and endangered species become another important subject that is the described by Mr. Koswara, still on to be confirmed, Director General of Ocean Management, and then I have Konservasi Indonesia, Meizani, and Dr. Mark, Executive Director of ReShark. You're gonna love to hear this, and about the ReShark, and Janice Agreswara, Country Manager Indonesia for Marine Megafauna Foundation. Last one is waste treatment reduction of ocean plastic pollution. My goodness, this is a subject that get people a bit excited and then very sensitive because this is the core on IFD, Agencies Front of Development. Mr. Jan Martes will talk about on how the French development in terms of waste management. From GIZ, Kai Hoffman, IPRO, Chairman of Management Board, Indonesia Packaging Recovery Organization, and Melati Wichsen. Melati is our dear founder of Utopia, that is a spokesperson Indonesian that make the difference internationally from Green School before, and I think they are the big players. And now another 12 exhibitors. This one is the showcase. You can't miss this. Handprint with Ocean Regeneration Credit Card Program. Parong Pong Roll Lab Waste Material Circular Economy. Shifa Industry working with Marriott, for example, and they've been doing organic 24 hours from hotel waste. This is very interesting. Biosphere Foundation, Marine Conservation, Coral Restoration, MDPI, Coastal Community Empowerment, Grand Blue Project, and Archipelago Visi, Antalis Communication, the Sea Cleaner, Palm, Gerakan Ciliwung Bersih, especially from Jakarta, Social Impact, Rotary Club from Ubud, and Widow. A lot more. I can just go on and on, but last but not least, I think this is another important things about the award, Sky Blue Sea Award, that dedicated for Sir Attenborough. Anyone would love to see the Netflix on this planet film? Find Sir David Attenborough. You get to know this guy who been years. He's 92 years old, so he can 98. 100 this year. Oh my God, 900. All right,
It'll be 100 this year.
This year.
So David Attenborough.
Oh my goodness. But he is, there is a film called Ocean with David Attenborough. Just a recap of what he's been doing for capturing ocean from one generation to another generation. Educational in entertaining way of beautiful visual images from silver film that Toby Nolan will represent, or let's see on how it's turned up. But Ocean by David Attenborough, it's one significant learning material for students, for younger generation to understand what is there. The side event, I have to say this, Bali Ocean Days side event, CMAP, bringing the right partner together, reduce risk, turn plastic circularity into real business opportunity across Asia. We're talking about funding and how do we get this what do I miss? I think that's it, yeah? I think that's all. I think my closing will be, so let me end this with Bali Ocean Day did not start because we wanted to organize an event. Basically, it's just an initiative representing all friends, different nationality, different background, and network. It started because too many people realized that waiting was no longer an option. We can't wait, and how fast can we move? The question is no longer about time to act. Do we want to act? Do we need to act? But really the real question is how fast we move. How can we collaborate? Who do we want to collaborate? What funding do we need? Is it funding? Is it only economic value that we are chasing to? Or we want to create an impact that make our life, meaningful? And that is exactly what Bali Ocean Day is about, to walk the talk, to turn idea into action, to turn intention into investment. Keep that in mind, investment, to turn hope into measurable impact. Is it easy? No, of course not. So that's why we want to continue this as an annual event. If you care about the future of Bali, Indonesia, the ocean, tourism, and economy around it, this is not just a conference. Please, we want you to take part. I don't want to push you, join our conference, but please make a contribution, a little movement that make your life more impactful and and enjoy the togetherness. Sustainability no longer about conversation like this. Sustainability is making a good, gentle, nice approach so that we can survive, we can compete, we can grow, and then we can make Bali as a destination, as our home, basically, if you call it home.
Thank you, everybody. How fast can we move? Bali Ocean Days. Look forward to seeing you there. See you next week. Round of applause for our guests. Thank you so much. Wonderful. See you next week.